Because you're exactly right. People do know. Every shooting and crime that happens in this city happens in the neighborhood, right? Every single crime. And I can't tell you the conversations that I had with Rob, conversation I had with Mr. Gwynn, with Gabe. I went on a tour about 2 weeks ago to the city jail, and I didn't, not a tour, I mean, I spent 3 hours, right? 3 hours interacting, talking with people. But there's a perception of fear, right? People are afraid. And I know it's easy to stand here and say, citizens will, they've got to tell us more. But then you know what? At the end of the day, when that call's over, we leave. We've got to remember that individuals live in those neighborhoods.
Yeah.
They live in those neighborhoods. That's right. I think that, and I said earlier on, that we're not going to rest our way out of it. But I can tell you, I got here July 1st, and we had 5 homicides in the city since July 1st. 4 of those 5 were cleared. They are cleared. I think the men and women do a phenomenal job. There's a lot of talent in this department. But those homicides are cleared directly because citizens have had enough and started calling. This is where the individual is. This is where the firearm is. This is the firearm that's used. I heard so-and-so say this in the response, and we follow up with it. Mr. Gwynn, when I met before I came here, we sat down and had a lunch, and it was a very, very good conversation of things we need to do. But I have got to expose this department and build trust and transparency. I have got to have citizens know that if they call us, and we're going to respond. Not 2 weeks later, within 2 or 3 days, right? Things didn't get this way overnight, but we have got to be much more responsive. And I want to see us move much quicker in being proactive as rather than reactive. Because I will say this, when I walked in here, we had 3 things that we're going to focus on: community and youth, the health and wellness of this organization, right? The men and women who come to work here every day, they are important to me. They see a lot of things. Many of you that study psychology, that's all up here. They see it. Just this month, we set up the department psychologist. We'll interview, spend 1 hour with every forensic technician who works in this department because of stuff that they see, right? The next group is going to be our special victims, our juvenile. But I've got to do a good job of interacting. I will say this, so we are clear. We are going to be the police in Newport News, and I am tired, and we are not going to tolerate men and women being held captive in their neighborhood, in their home, afraid of people that do violence in this city.
All right.
I am telling you that. We are going to be the police here. We are going to have a reduction in crime this year.
All right.
We are going to have a bigger reduction in crime, and not just a reduction. What does that mean? 5%? What does that mean? 2%?
Impact.
In January, right, when we finish this year out, we're going to get together as a city, and we're going to talk about what our crime goals. So that patrolman that works in midnight shift down in South Precinct knows what our goals are, just as much as I know what our goals are, right? And when they go to a community meeting, that any one of these officers, any officer outside here can tell you what we're going to do different, right? But I will say this, and I'm going to get out of the way. Unless we open up and share information, because you're right, people do know. I'm not asking you to come to court and testify. I'm not going to hang a banner on your door and say that you told us something, right? I'm not going to broadcast down the road that, hey, so-and-so, they told us this information, we're looking. That's not how it works. Right, I was at a meeting today where they pay out good rewards for people who give information, and when I'm sitting in that room, and all I hear is number 731, this caller gave out information. Do you know that I looked at for the last year, I wanted to go to the Crime Stoppers, is that what the crime tip line? The crime, you know what I'm talking about, right? Do you know that this month was the highest month where people called in and arrests were made? That's momentum. I'm talking two or three arrests happen a month. You know how many arrests were made from citizens calling this? 7. That's huge. We're the most in the region, right? So I will say this. Crime will only take place in a neighborhood if citizens allow it, right? An active shooter, if any of you have been through that training, they want to do the most amount of crime, most amount of damage in the short amount of time, right? When they go to a door that's locked and they're pulling on it, do you think they stay and pull on it? Or do they go to the next one where hey, this one's unlocked, let me go in here and wreak havoc, right? Because the police are coming. They got a short amount of time. So they're not pulling on that door. Cho up in Virginia Tech, he didn't stand there for an hour pulling on a door. It's the same thing in our neighborhoods. The same thing in our neighborhoods. When citizens say, I am not going to tolerate that here. If you're in this neighborhood looking into cars, looking into windows, hanging out in abandoned houses, shooting heroin up in the back alley, I'm calling the police. For young people, or they will say that neighborhood's hot. Police are heavy here. We're not over-policing it. We're getting radio calls. We track our radio calls. How many we get, how many neighborhoods, right? There are neighborhoods that will not tolerate that nonsense. They call the police. I went to a neighborhood meeting the other day, there were 7, 8 citizens in there, and they were old, retired. And let me tell you, they look out for each other. But when citizens don't call, when they don't feel like the police are going to respond, when lighting isn't what it should be, we don't have good environmental designs, right? And people hide behind and they don't look out that window, they don't tell us what's going on, then that's a neighborhood that I might set up and start some business. And wait a minute, you know what? If the police aren't coming and citizens aren't calling, I may call my friend to come help me. Hey, come on over here. We're going to break into some of these homes. Nobody cares what happens here. When we don't get calls, we as law enforcement think, well, they don't care, so let's go to this neighborhood that is called, right? We've got to do a better job. You're exactly right. There are people, some of the best people in this city are some of the more, where we have condensed poverty areas.
That's right.
And I think they have good solutions to issues going on. You are dead on.
That's right.
You're 100% accurate. People know. We just got to get that information and bring it out.
Amen.
If you'll help me, we'll do it.
Amen.
Thank you.